Damn, it was going down in the NFL today once again. Coaches are being fired left and right here. Let's start with some of the bigger headlines. Commanders fire head coach Ron Rivera, 26-40-1 as a head coach there. I'm not shocked. You guys know my feelings on Ron Rivera. I'll give it to you, Eric. 3 winning seasons in 13 years as a head coach. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, I mean that's not it, right? That's not going to help you keep your job. The funny thing is, like, I feel like Ron Rivera is like the perfect example of a guy that the game is just like completely passed him by. Like when he was at his peak coaching powers, he was thought to be an innovator and a
Yeah.
risk taker, riverboat Ron, and now the league just like hold my
Yeah.
beer, and now he looks vanilla as shit, right? He's just like not saying anything on the sidelines, not taking any risks, not going for it on fourth down. So yeah, I mean look, there's a place and time for every style of coaching, and I think the Ron Rivera styles probably largely come to a close in addition to his tenure with the Commanders.
Who, if you could talk to Ron Rivera right now and say 1 or 2 sentences to him, what would you say?
I'd ask him what college program he's going to take over. That's what I want to know because,
Dude,
like,
no, he's got to hang him up.
No way.
No.
I mean, like even
Dude
Arthur
doesn't even
Smith,
know his own players. Come
even
on.
Arthur Smith, he's probably gonna go coach in college because like his play style, like even though the NFL has passed him by, like there's some programs that his play style could still work. So I wouldn't be surprised you hear some names like Ron Rivera creep around.
Okay.
Who knows? Matt Rule made a second homecoming, and
Matt Rule, Greg Schiano, right? Like there are some like middling college programs that would love to get an NFL coach up in there.
That's right.
You're right. You're so fucking right too.
So-
Speaking of Arthur Smith, Falcons fired head coach Arthur Smith. Man, 3 straight 7-10 seasons for him. Mediocre division as of late, and just can't get the job done down the stretch. They might start out a little hot in contention, and just kind of close loss after close loss. And it felt like the players kind of just gave up on him this past week. Had some really nice offensive production, but the defense just in the end getting absolutely torn up here. Hoove, any farewell thoughts for our guy Artie Smith?
I'll bite my tongue on this one. I think I've said enough piece. I've cracked enough jokes, like a man got fired. We cracked enough jokes, ding dong, the witch is dead type energy. So really, like I'm past it, like I got ruined by a few shares of Bijan, but I kind of knew, like, even though like I drafted him by 101, I knew what was gonna happen, like deep down. So I'm excited for like all the Drake London shareholders and all the fucking Drake London or all the Kyle Pitts ones, and I think they're free. Like I'm trying to share a Jonnu Smith share for like a 3rd round pick. No one's taking him. Why? Because he's done. If Arthur Smith's done, Jonnu Smith is done. These FedEx shipped the fuck out of here.
Yeah, looks like we got Katie in the chat tonight. What's up, Katie? Good to see you.
Katie.
Looks like we got Dee Dee saying hello, and saying, is that Eminem? Hello, Seth and Eric. Hoove, once again, Slim Shady cannot escape you, my friend.
I'm Slim Shady. Yes, I'm the real Shady. Are you at the Slim Shadys are just imitating? Whew! I'm feeling it.
All right, so are we just like all happy about the Falcons? We don't know who the head coach is going to be, Eric. So there's not a ton of analysis here, but overall, like, are we thinking things get better for Bijan in year 2? They get better for Kyle Pitts, Drake London, super talented, top 10 drafted NFL players who just haven't come to fruition yet.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Like, I mean, there's almost nowhere to go but up, right? Like even if things remain the same in terms of quarterback and we see Desmond Ridder or replacement level NFL QB in 2024, like the play calling and the decision making has nothing but room for improvement. And then you add on top of that the fact that I think they will improve at quarterback. And yeah, the arrow is pointing up. And look, like for however much like we want to bemoan Arthur Smith as fantasy managers, this week, Black Monday in particular, is tough because it's people losing their jobs. But in the case of Arthur Smith in particular, like the king Nepo baby, like born on a silver platter, has everything handed down to him. Smell you later, loser. Don't touch this league ever again. Get out of here.
I think Arthur Smith would actually be a really good college coach. I think he seems like a really fun, like good vibing guy, but just not made out for
He
the.
seems fun.
I mean,
You got to be the only person saying Arthur Smith seems fun.
I don't know. Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. I guess there have been some funny moments, I guess, with him. Maybe I should say that. Like he's
Yeah.
kind of become a meme, so maybe that's why I consider
That's
him
fair.
fun. The Adam Gase of today. But in more exciting news, Titans, they fire head coach Mike Vrabel. 4 straight winning seasons, 2 playoff wins to begin his tenure there, but then 2 losing seasons in a row. This seems more like less about underperforming and more like a GM and a head coach that didn't align. We heard last week from Adam Schefter that it didn't seem like this was who Mike Vrabel wanted to hire, and it kind of just came all together here, Eric. And now we say goodbye to Mike Vrabel, at least in Tennessee, but he's going to be a hot name here.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see Vrabel get scooped up pretty quickly now that on the open market. As a Texans fan, I'm happy to see him go, right? Mike Vrabel has been one of these coaches for years that just manages to get the absolute most out of some pretty mediocre rosters, right? So happy that is out of the division. Assuming that someone's going to scoop that up pretty quickly. And the thing to underscore is exactly what you said, right? Like there was pretty clear reporting that when Tennessee was looking for their new GM a few years ago, Vrabel was vocal and adamant about their other choice being the correct one, and they didn't make it. So
Yep.
I mean, once that happens, unless he makes a deep playoff run, there's no way that GM is just going to sit there and let him skate by with a losing record,
Yeah, where do you think Mike Vrabel ends up? Because right now there's Jim Harbaugh out there who's going to be a hot candidate. We'll talk about a potential other hot candidate, Bill Belichick as well. But Vrabel's right up there with him.
Yeah, I got some new articles coming out this next few weeks, and one of them is like the top coaching candidates and where they're going to end up. And I was working on it today when this news broke, and it switched so much in my opinion. With one of my articles, I had the Titans making moves to win now. No, Mike Vrabel's gone. They're rebuilding. So scratch that. Yeah. So honestly, one thing that I was really kicking around is that all I've heard is that Jared Mayo is the answer. Is that he's going to be the guy that takes over for Bill if Bill leaves, and the linebacker coach for New England. They're just going to do it internally. And it's not that he's not deserving. It's that this draft or this head coaching pool this year is just so stacked. It's really
like
is.
All-stars.
So
it might be,
So how can you? It's not settling because I really think Jared Mayo will be a head coach at some point. He'll get an opportunity. It's just this isn't the year to do it. There's just so many opportunities. If you really let Bill go and you want to make a deep dive, you could do it, because there's a really good chance that they could end up there. I got the 3rd overall pick right now, I believe.
So you think Vrabel could be the answer if Bill walks in? Is that what you're kind of alluding to here?
I think that if he's available and that he's in the Ring of Honor for the Patriots, how can they not go after Mike Vrabel now that he's available?
Eric, what, won 3 fucking Super Bowls with them or something?
Yeah, catching all kinds of weird touchdowns where he had to report eligible, right? So I mean, there's speculation out there that maybe the situation was a little tenuous, but wasn't exactly at a breaking point, and he kind of accelerated the process along to get out the door under the assumption that he had kind of a streamlined path into New England. So, I mean, we'll see how it all pans out, but it feels like a pretty linear kind of thing, just a straight line from one sideline to the next.
It's an absolute. Go ahead, Hoof.
One thing to add is that Mike Vrabel's a top 10 coach unanimously.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's a free agent right now, he's not going to have, this isn't going to happen to him many times in his career. Kind of like an Andy Reid when he was fired from the Eagles. He's going to go to a place, he's going to be there for a long time. So I think that the fact that Robert Kraft, he's been stuck with Bill for so long, or he's had Bill, not stuck with him, but had him in a GM role and a head coaching role. If he just brings Mike Vrabel in, or even I heard today, what if Bill doesn't even leave? What if he just continues on being GM and he brings Mike Vrabel in? I think it's unrealistic, but it's
Yeah.
I can still see Mike Vrabel coming in and then them bringing in like an assistant. Like there's always every front office in the NFL looks for front office people from New England. New England, San Francisco, those are the top two that everyone seeks after. So I wouldn't be surprised if they just like gave assistant general manager a promotion and brought in Mike Vrabel instead of Jared Mayo.
I will say the saddest thing about this departure from Tennessee, in my opinion, is we don't get any more relationship between Vrabel and that reporter Gentry a couple weeks ago. That absolutely was taking some fucking firepower from Mike V. So shout out Mike V, shout out Gentry. We miss you. We got Dee Dee in the chat saying she loves Andy Reid. We got Tyler hanging out with us. What's up, Tyler? Good to see you, man. We got Connor in the chat saying Bryson DeHoovbo. Yeah, you kind of do give a little Bryson DeChambeau vibe for sure. Some minor news we can just quickly touch on. Jaguars fired defensive coordinator Mike Caldwell and staff. No surprise, pretty middle of the road defense despite having some talent there that just really hasn't been developed so far. Giants and DC Wink Martindale also parting ways. And this has kind of been a bottom of the barrel defense this year, but they've really held serve at times despite the poor offense kind of putting them in bad situations. So I think Wink will get another DC job probably as soon as this year. Don't count Wink out quite yet. Panthers fired GM Scott Fitterer. He's going to kind of just join the rest of the Carolina Panthers that kind of went down in smoke here. And the remaining coaching questions here are Bill Belichick. Conflicting reports everywhere. We have no idea what to believe. Some are saying it's a Hail Mary. He gets back in with the Patriots. Some say he's not going to leave. Jay Glazer then is reporting, and keep in mind, Jay Glazer, fucking dialed in guy here, very close with Mike Tomlin.
Such tight reporting.
Yeah, and he's reporting that Tomlin might step away, take a break after this season. So that was kind of a bombshell for Steelers fans because we've gone on this fucking wave where fire Tomlin, keep Tomlin, and now it's like a keep Tomlin situation. We're hearing this a little wild there. And the Jim Harbaugh wins the Natty last night. Just a really dominant performance from that Michigan team. And he hired Don Yee last week. So could he take a stab at the NFL? Eric, with all this being said, what is the most intriguing of these questions, and how do you think it all turns out?
Man, it's kind of a cop-out, but I feel like these are all pretty equally intriguing, right? Like Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time, certainly the greatest coach of the recent generation. I was wincing earlier when Hoof suggested that there's a chance that Belichick might stay in the front office and bring Vrabel in the coach, because I think that should be the opposite thing, right? Like if I was a Patriots fan, I would want Belichick on the sideline and making zero personnel decisions, because that's really where he's pissed out his leg, right? So, where he ends up, if he's available, like that totally changes the entire market of the head coaching cycle this offseason. Tomlin, Glazer's reporting is always super tight. Like he gets everything right. He keeps his sources close to the vest. Like he does everything that you're looking for from a journalistic standpoint. I kind of feel like Tomlin is probably just trying to step back a little bit, maybe get a little leverage on the front office, right? Like you Steelers fans, you got it good with Mike Tomlin. And like the fact that there are calls for his jobs like every season and a half.
I won a playoff game since 2017. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, yeah, but he's never had a losing season, right? Like,
yeah,
like he's
a
fantastic coach. It is.
He is.
You look across the landscape of the NFL. How many organizations are burning through coaches every 2, 3, 5 years, and you've got that continuity and that continuity of excellence. And then, Harbaugh, for me, this one feels kind of different because him going out and testing the NFL coaching waters as a means to get leverage and a little pay increase at Michigan has kind of become tradition for him. But this year in particular, he's got the notch in his belt with the Natty, and also we don't really know how this is all going to play out with the sign stealing scandal. So it would kind of make sense, like get all the glory, absolutely build up and inflate your market as a potential head coaching candidate, by winning the national title and then get out of Dodge before you have to deal with any of the repercussions.
He's
right?
innocent. He said it last night. He's innocent. You don't believe him?
I mean,
I believe the
everyone's
football
innocent.
gods. I believe the football gods. They would have fucked him over if not. Hoove, I know you have a lot to say on this because Jim Harbaugh, you have a whole article about where you think he's going to land. Quickly, just give us your thoughts though on anything else you haven't touched on in that article. Mike Tomlin, do you think he's actually stepping away here?
I can agree to what Eric is saying, is that when you got a good thing like Mike Tomlin, like Mike Vrabel, top 10 coach, top 5 coach, in my opinion, honestly, probably top 3 coach. But it's almost like the difference in the organization. I wrote about this in my next article that's coming up, is the Steelers organization are so stuck in their ways. You know, like they're so deep rooted into not giving up and focusing on what their original plan was. You know, like look at how hard they dug their heels in to keep Matt Canada around for as long as they did.
Yeah.
You know, so
for sure.
Like look at the Eagles. You know, like people are already talking about Nick Sirianni being gone. They were just in the fucking Super Bowl. You know, they got rid of Andy Reid right away. Boom. Doug Peterson. He was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Boom. That's right. But it's the difference is that Steelers aren't going to fire a winning coach unlike the Eagles would, because the Eagles want that Super Bowl. The Steelers, even though they've won the most Super Bowls, right? Yeah. They've won the most Super Bowls. They've kind of faded away from that. They're not focused on Super Bowls. They're focused on doing it the Pittsburgh way.
Like, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So would it be the worst thing in the world? Who knows? Maybe they need a spark. Like, obviously, if Mason Rudolph is doing better than what their first rounder was doing, something's wrong. Is that Russell Wilson? Probably not, because it's just not the Pittsburgh way, but something needs to get fixed. So I think he comes back. I think Bill's gone. I think that they're just biting their teeth on it. They're kind of deciding like the Titans. They didn't know whether they're going to just do this lengthy process to trade Bill or trade Mike Vrabel in the Titans scenario, or whether they're going to like just let him go and let him choose his team. So I think that regardless, they're going to come to a decision that he's going to be gone. They're going to bring someone else in. And I think it's the Chargers. I really do. I think that we're going to have a division that if you're going to beat Patrick Mahomes, it's going to be Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, and Bill Belichick in the same division in the AFC West slugging it out.
You're a sicko. I am a
sicko. I am a